I want to explore some libraries, or especially one library, this one here, Anime.js. And simply because it caught my attention on X yesterday. I saw it on X, and I mean, they have a really nice homepage, which already made me quite interested in this because it has this beautiful animation playing as you scroll down this homepage. So I'm just scrolling. This is not a video. I can scroll up and down, and this is just an animation. They're basically capturing the scrolling and then playing various animations to show you what their library can do. And I will probably not be able to build all of that here, but I found that pretty interesting, that library. And that's why I decided, hey, I wanna play around with that in this stream, because the idea behind these streams is really also that I want to share what I'm exploring. Sometimes that will be something like 10-stack start or some AI related stuff, and sometimes it will be something simple like this. When are you going to come back to San Francisco? So, actually, I've only been in San Francisco twice, 2017 and 18, for 1 week each. And I don't know yet when I'll be in San Francisco for the next visit. I don't know yet. Got nothing planned right now. It is quite a trip, to be honest. I believe you can code such cool animation. Yeah, thank you so much for your trust. But I will say animations is really not my strong suit, which is, I guess, I don't know. But I guess for quite a lot of developers, animations is probably not what they're very good at, unless, of course, you're a super... Yeah, unless you specialized on that topic. But I feel like many developers are not good at design, leave alone animations. It's definitely the case for me. Try to clone this website in a future stream. That is quite ambitious. For now, I simply want to dive into their documentation and play around with this library and find out what you can do with it and how difficult or easy it is to do things with it. And then maybe we'll also do some other stuff. I'm not sure if I will spend like 2 hours on just that, but it is at least what I want to get started with. And therefore, without further ado, I'd say let's just dive into the getting started guide. I have not used this library before. I haven't read the docs before, so this is all brand new for me, and we'll see how it goes. So in here, I'll go to the installation, I guess. And it is a library. It's really just a JavaScript library. I know that much. And therefore, you can use it in any JavaScript project, no matter if you're using vanilla JavaScript or, I guess, React, Angular. Now, they do have a dedicated guide for React here, and only React. And because I did actually read those parts here from the documentation, to be very honest. But in there, they're basically saying, yeah, you can use it with React. You just import it like in any other like in any other JavaScript project. And then you just wrap your code with useEffect. And that's it. So I guess you could also use it with Angular and wrap it with the effect function there, or execute it in some lifecycle hook maybe. So there is that. And installing it is really just an npm install and then an import. And therefore, what I'll do is I'll create a new Vite project. And actually, let's go for vanilla JavaScript. We can always switch to React or something like this later. But I really just want to create a new vanilla JavaScript project, I think. So therefore, I've actually never used the Vite docs like this. Here we go, vanilla. Therefore, okay, I did not want to do that. Here, that's the command. Therefore, I'll create a new project. And I'll choose vanilla JavaScript as a template. I don't want to use TypeScript because I don't want to mess around with types here. I just want to play around with it, break things, and yeah. Yeah, I will basically vibe animate it, I guess. So I will probably also use some AI here and there, and we'll just see where it goes. And Aliter, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and for the great feedback. It means so much to me. I don't know what to say, but yeah, thank you so much. And now that I got this project, I of course wanna open it. So code animation stuff. Here we go. And that's just a very simple vanilla JavaScript project using Vite. So in there, where is it? In there we can, no, I did not want to do that. Hello, macOS, please. This should be full screen and this should be full screen. Thank you very much. So I will just install it into my project. Like this. And then what do they say under imports? Yeah, ES6 imports, we can do that. And then we'll just give this example here a try and then take a look at what's going on there. That's how I typically like to explore things. If they have like a complete example like this, I'll just paste this in here and see what that gives me. Now, I will say that they're looking for a button. Utils. Oh, okay, so they got a jQuery-like syntax. The good old vibes. Got some jQuery syntax for selecting a button here. So I guess we should have this HTML code. Let's paste this here into our HTML file. And let's run the dev server and see what that gives us. Yeah, macOS can be really annoying from time to time. I have thought about switching to Linux so often, but then again, it's so convenient, macOS. But yeah, it has its quirks. Okay, that's a rather big logo. I'm not sure if it should be that big. But there are no styles here, right? Why is it so big? I mean, it's essentially an SVG, and I'm no SVG expert. Can I make it smaller by doing that? Nope. If I zoom out, it stays that big. I mean, maybe it's intended to be that way. It's a working animation, we can tell that. It's an icon that's bumping. I wonder where this button, here is a button. Okay, we can rotate it. It's rather big, I will say. So, can I just resize this to like 20 rem? Yeah, that looks better. Okay, yeah, so we got a working animation, yay. It's working, obviously we can still improve the styling, but it's animating. And what's really nice already is the animation here feels very natural. So you can see if I spin it, it accelerates, it decelerates. So, and that's what I would have expected, because this library, I mean, their starting page already makes it very clear that it's not about your standard CSS animation. You wouldn't need a library for that after all. But instead, it's pretty obvious that the goal of this library is to help you build beautiful animations with ease, hopefully, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, Yogurt, the video capture part is one big reason why I'm not switching to Linux, because it was like 4 or 5 years ago that I tried setting up a Linux laptop. and tried to do video capturing on that, and it was just a pain compared to macOS. Maybe it's better now, but that was a huge pain. And yeah, we got a flashbang, you're right. Let's change that. Let's quickly go here. I think the CSS code was previously imported into the JavaScript file, so let's re-add that. And that already makes it better, doesn't it? So that already looks better. And now we can, of course, also go to the HTML file. I mean, these classes here don't do anything because I have not created them. And I'm not using Tailwind here either. So I think it will be easiest if we just add Tailwind, then we don't have to write a bunch of CSS code. So let's grab the Tailwind Vite installation instructions real quick. Let's do that. Let's install it and update the Vite config. Is there no? We got none. Okay, vite.config.js. And import this into the style CSS file instead of the existing styles. And yeah, I guess that should be it, right? If I now go back, it's probably white again, but we should now be able to use Tailwind to change that. And for example, go to the body here and give this a background of slate 800, let's say, text slate 50. And now we got a nice dark blue grayish background. And now here I can give this some classes too. Let's say W, yeah, let's take those. And the fill color could be amber. Why is that not working? Why exactly? Oh, because I already got class. So let's put that here. Okay, yeah. And now, of course, let's make this bigger again. And why can I not fill it like this? Is there like a... Is it because of fill here? Yeah. Okay. So let's now do that. And then I can also center this. Doesn't container do that? Yeah, it does. And my 16. Okay, and then let's go for the button, or actually let's add another div that centers both. Like this. Great, then I also want to style the button a little bit. Maybe like this, let's see. Yeah, okay, that's a very standard look. Let's make it a bit different. Yeah, sure. And let's add a hover style. I mean, it's not really about the styling here. I just want to have something that's not totally horrible to look at. I mean, in the last live stream about 10 stack start, we had something horrible to look at. So styling wise, I mean. So let's change this here. Okay. So now it's not working anymore though. I guess because there probably was a class selector here. Yeah, it was selecting by logo. I guess that's a class selector here. I don't know how utils works exactly, but it looks like a CSS class selector. So instead I'll use a little ID and add that here. Oops. And the button, why is this not working? It should still select the button, I guess. Do we have any error here? Uncaught error. This is not a function. I didn't change a lot though. No target found. Yeah. Why does adding Tailwind break this? This makes no sense. Hi, Green Razzle. Nice to have you on board. Why exactly would you break if I add Tailwind? Just to check, if I comment this out, yeah, I still get that error, which kind of makes sense. Oh, this is probably also a problem here, because that's the same selector, I guess. Yeah. Okay, here we go. It's working. Yeah, saw it, Android. Thank you so much. Good. So that is working. Now we can take a look at what else this library has to offer. Because this was, of course, just a getting started example. Okay, we can use it to build a timer like this, I guess, which would be nice. Schedules and controls timed function callbacks that can be used as a replacement to set timeout or set interval, keeping animations and callbacks in sync. Timers are created using the create timer function. Const timer create timer, parameters, an object of timer playback settings and timer callbacks. We'll have to see what that is. Okay, it's basically these two items here in the documentation. And then we can create a timer like this, for example, and we connect it to an element like this. Okay, so let's give this a try. Let's go back, and I guess I'll name this here main start.js and add a new main.js file to start from scratch for this. And then here I'll comment this out for now and add a new div here with my timer paragraph, little ID of timer for selecting it, and then we'll see how we have to use that. So it all starts with importing and creating a timer. So we import animate here. We should import create timer, I guess. So we import create timer. Then we select a value. So here I'll select the timer. Or was this selecting 2 items? No, I guess it's 1. I have to look up what exactly this returns. I think that's a handle to the element. That's what we had here too. But then we got a second thing. And I wonder if that's some state that's attached to this element, or yeah, I'll have to look that up. So then we create a timer for 1 second, I guess, that it keeps on looping, updates with a frame rate of 30, and on every update cycle, it updates the inner HTML of this element, I guess, with the current time. So it keeps track of the current time. And on loop, the current iteration. So I guess the loop is once every second, but on update is 30 times per second. That would be my guess. So count, is that a different element? So here we're selecting value, something with the class value. Okay, we got 2 elements with, okay, I see. So we can select multiple items here, as it seems. So we have 1 selector, but if that matches multiple items, we got the first item and the second item. So actually what I want to have here, I want to have another paragraph with the count, and I'll name this ID count, and instead of using this once to select multiple, I'll use it twice to be able to use different selectors. And I guess that should be it. Utils is not defined. Okay. And why, by the way, why was this? Oh, because I'm missing the styles import, of course, yeah. Import styles CSS. And I need to, what was the error? I need to, yeah, utils is missing. So I need to do that. Utils. Failed to resolve import. Oh, it's style, yeah. Okay, yeah, so here we go. This is now updating every millisecond. And I guess you can configure how it updates exactly. This makes no sense. The amount of time I've set that only to later facepalm. Yeah, it's a classic developer experience. Complaining and then finding that you made a mistake. By the way, Max, I would like to thank you for helping starting my career. This was ages ago with OG Angular 2 and Django. Now I'm a senior DevOps with strong coding and Golang with HTMX FISPAM. Yeah, so amazing to hear that. And congratulations on taking that path. It's really amazing. And especially if you've been around since the early Angular 2 days, man, that's been some time. It's a long time since I started with that. And I'm so happy that I could be part of that career or help with that career. So yeah, thank you so much. My so-called full-stackish teammates blame me not to use Bootstrap on our front-end app in the first place. I prefer pure CSS at the time I created the project. What do you propose me for my defense? So if they're pushing for Bootstrap, I guess they're still stuck in 2019 or something like that, right? I mean, Tailwind is the default now. Yeah, but seriously, I mean, it really depends on the scope. If you want to get something done as quickly as possible and a generic look is okay and you don't need any special features, of course, going with Bootstrap or some other CSS library can save you some time there. But on the other hand, if you want full control, then as always, using a library means that you're a bit more restricted and that fine-tuning every bit exactly the way you want can be a bit harder. It's definitely possible, but it can be also a bit harder. So it really depends on the scope of the project. And if time is the most important thing, if you are totally happy with having a pretty normal, not super amazing front end, then of course, yeah, you probably shouldn't be spending time on fine-tuning all the CSS. But if you want a bit more than that, then that absolutely makes sense. And I will say pure CSS really has a bad reputation for no reason at all. I know that a lot of people shy away from learning it, and I'm far from being super good at it too. But CSS has gotten so good over all these years. There's so much built in. Browser support is really good. I feel like we're so used to using Tailwind and so on that we sometimes overlook that using vanilla CSS could be an option too. What is this using in background for animations? It's Anime.js. It's a library, I think a relatively new library, which I want to explore today. Is there any chance to develop a space program, for example, for a satellite calculating objects and changing trajectory or anything space really? You mean with the animation here, having a space theme, animating a planet or so, or what do you mean? But for now, I'll probably stick to the basics and figure out how this works and is configured. So here, for example, I got my timer, and I can configure that with playback settings or and the callbacks. So for the playback settings, it looks like I can configure the delay, the time in milliseconds before the timer starts, the duration defines the duration, so that at the moment it updates every second. Loop, how many times a timer repeats, and that is currently set to true, which means infinite, I guess. Yep. The same would have been true for -1. Or for, yeah, okay, that's all equal, basically. So it's either a number, so something like 10, or infinity true or -1. Loop delay. The delay in milliseconds between loops. Okay, so interesting. So you can also set a timer and say after every iteration, wait for half a second before you start the next one. Defines the direction of the timer, alternates on each iteration when loop is set to true. Defines if the direction of the timer alternates on each, oh, so that it counts up and down. You can also count down with reverse. So we could build a countdown, I guess, if we set this to like 10 seconds and reversed true. No. Sets the initial direction of the timer. The timer current time always progresses from 0 to duration. Only the iteration time is reversed. Okay. So I wonder what's available here. What is iteration? Is it iteration current time? Iteration current time. What's that? Okay, so that's now. Okay, so we have either current time, I think was it, which is essentially just the the blinds are going up, which is essentially just the time elapsed since I started the timer. But I can also use the iteration current time instead, and that is then depending on my duration value, and with that I could build a countdown. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, autoplay defines the play mode. If set to true, the timer plays automatically. If set to false, the timer has to be played manually. If set to on scroll, the timer will start when the scroll thresholds conditions are met. The default is true, so it starts automatically, but I could set it to false, and then I would have to start it manually. So then I would have to call play. So essentially that means if I were to add a little button here, start countdown, and actually let's grab the CSS styles from down here. No, that was the wrong suggestion. I want some styles. So if I do that, and actually let me also empty 16 X auto and container to have this a bit more in the center. So if I do that, start countdown, then I can of course go here, select my button with also good old standard JavaScript, create my timer here. Whoops. And say autoplay false. And then here, button, add event listener, click, and then that, and connect that to timer. Is it not timer start? Timer play. And say, okay, timer play should be triggered when that button is pressed, right? So with that, hello. This resume is not a function. Oh yeah. So I guess this keyword is the problem. Yeah, now it's working. I wonder why it's counting up now. Shouldn't it count down? Or do we have to call a different function to achieve that? The satellite idea sounds really fun. There are some APIs that track satellite trajectories. A space program for one of the next live streams when satellites are moving around Earth and send metadata to Earth. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I like that idea. We should definitely keep that in mind. Like building a little website where we use, I've never done this, but if there are APIs where we can get satellite data, building a little website where we can try to animate satellites and then like on Earth. We can also do some vibe coding there for the 3JS Earth. That sounds like a pretty good idea. I'll try to keep that in mind. I'll try to keep that in mind. So I'm not sure why this is now counting up again, but I also won't worry about it because it's nice to have the timer thing, but I'm not primarily here for the timers. So I'll just leave that be. We got various callbacks. We're already doing that for on loop and on update. We already understood what that does. Okay, I guess I would simply have to call reverse instead of play. Yeah, okay. So we solved that mystery too. What else do we have? Play, pause, restart, alternate. That makes sense. And then we can extract various pieces of information like the current time, what we just explored, and so on. Yeah, let's dive into actual animations now. Animates the properties, the property values of targeted elements with a wide range of parameters, callbacks, and methods. So, what can we do here? Anime.js provides a more lightweight version powered by the Web Animation API. Has less features, but is more lightweight. Yeah, but I'll stick to this one for now. So, let's copy these spans here. And let's add them here instead of this. Hello world. And in main.js, let's grab this and see what this does. Now I will have to fix the selectors again, of course. Well, no, it's selecting spans. That should still work. Let's see if it works and then let's see what it does. Why is it white again? Hello? Oh, because I keep on deleting that style import. Actually, screw it. We're not going to import it like this. Oh, I have to. Well, I don't have to import it like this. I can move it into the public folder. At least I thought so. Well, then it's not processed, right? So, okay. Okay, so I guess I just have to remember to not delete it all the time. Hello world. How is this animated? It's not animated at all right now, I'd say. I'm also not sure what it should be doing. Rotate. Delay. I guess it should be rotating. I guess it should be playing this animation here. So why is that not happening? Yeah, bye, Yokurt. Thank you so much for being part. And maybe see you with the space program next week. So why is this not animating? I got no errors. And still nothing is happening. I'm selecting spans. And I have spans here. Is there some other selector? Not that I would see it. There also is no trigger or anything like that. I mean, in the getting started part, it was also just animate being called. Yeah, and that was like the pulsating animation which was playing out of the box. Now this should also just work, I guess, and simply play. I I did not copy the h2 element, but that should not matter. There is no h2 in this code. It's really weird. And I mean, the script is loaded, right? We have that. I also don't know why it wouldn't be loaded, but yeah, it's there. And no errors. Is that... Well, no, there can't be conflicting styles or anything like this. Huh. Yeah, the import is still there. And I did also edit the correct file, right? That's the one that's being imported. Yeah. So, animate, span. What if I animate a div here? Okay, so now something is happening. So let's animate the span again. I mean, what is possible? I'm not sure if these span elements need to be block elements, or maybe they need to be in a grid. So what's a bit weird, I guess we have the examples here, that the CSS code is missing. So with that, it's a bit hard. Where is it? I'm not sure which one it is. It's a bit hard to replicate this. It's also weird that they're not using Tailwind classes here. Not that you have to use Tailwind, but it is kind of the standard. So that would be more helpful than random classes. But okay, so I guess I need to change my styles here for those spans. And for a start, let's say we convert them all to block elements. Yeah, we can also try that with the grid, right? So grid calls, I guess we need, how much is this? 5, 10, 11? Yeah, and now they're animating. So now this is working. And now I just don't want container here, but instead I'll give this a max width of, let's say, 30 rem, so that this is a bit smaller and not as wide. Okay, now we got these jumping and circling ladders. Okay, so what is actually happening here? We have the animate function, which clearly animates whatever is being targeted here. And then we have the configuration object. And I guess we can, I wonder how this object works. What can we do? I mean, the targets part is the obvious part. Yeah, we can select with a CSS selector. Looks like we can also pass DOM objects, DOM elements to it. So it's quite flexible. JavaScript objects. Oh, so we can also pass objects to animate and then animate the properties, which of course does nothing, but because it's just an object. But then I guess we could, or maybe we can then also create elements or DOM elements based on these objects and have their properties animated too. So here we're just logging it as JSON, but I guess you could update another element based on the properties in this object here if you want to have that in between. And you can also have an array of targets. Okay, so animatable properties. We can animate CSS properties. Any CSS numerical and color properties can be animated. Properties containing a dash in their name, like background color, must be converted to camel case or written as a string. Yeah, that's standard. So what we're doing here is we're animating the Y property of the span, though that's not a CSS property, right? So what is Y? Is it, yeah, it's like, it's such a tween value type. So basically a value where the change is interpolated over time. Specify the start and end values that define the animation. Animation values are assigned. So I guess what's going on here is we set Y to be, well, I'm not sure how exactly that works. So thank you so much, Spooky Skeleton, for the Prime sub. Thank you so very much. Much appreciated. So, and yay, we reached the sub goal. So even better. Thank you so much. So we have Y, and this is basically a property which is handled behind the scenes by the Anime.js library. And we're saying that we want to animate to this value, that we have an easing function to like control how the value is interpolated and then over which time span. But where are we using it then? That's what I'm not understanding here. Or is Y, maybe I'm just totally missing something. Is Y a CSS property? But I only know, oh, okay, here we go. It's a shorthand. Y is a shorthand for translate Y. So that's it. Okay, so this is basically translate Y. So to move it along the Y axis. And we're saying, okay, we want to move it to minus 2.75 rem, which is up because the 0 point is basically in the top left corner. So top left. So we go up a bit and we use exponential easing. And then thereafter, we wanted to go back to its original position where it was drawn to the screen initially. And we want to have like a bounce easing, which is why when we take a look at this animation, we see that these items, when they come down, they bounce a little bit, right? So that's that second part here. Then we're also having a row. So that is translate Y. It's the Y axis. But of course, these elements are not just moving up and down. They're also spinning around. And that's rotate, where we essentially say from -1 turn. So I guess we start with them kind of rotated already. And then we rotate them back to the original position. And we start immediately. I guess if I set this to 1000 here. Yeah. Then it would start like this, and thereafter only rotate. And I guess -1 turn means that in order to get back to 0, it needs to spin once, which is a bit of a weird way of expressing it, but okay. Then we have a delay, and that's just to stagger them so that they're not all jumping up at the same time. If I comment this out, then they're all jumping up and rotating at exactly the same time. But if I comment this in, then every item has 50 milliseconds more delay than the item before it. So we have this nice staggering animation. Again, easing. And that is how, and loop delay. So that's controlling the overall animation, I guess. So still some things to figure out, but I guess the key takeaway is that we can animate any CSS numerical or color value, that we can also animate CSS transforms, so rotate and then translate and so on. That we can also animate CSS variables with numerical and color values, which makes sense. We can also animate JavaScript object properties. So we could be, yeah, that's again what we saw before. We can pass it as a target and then we can animate its properties and then we can do with that animated object whatever we want. So the numbers are simply interpolated according to our easing function and so on. Okay, tween value types, specify the start and end value. So we can either just define one value, if no unit is specified, it will use the browser's default unit. I just wonder, it's saying the start and end values. This is probably the end value then, I guess. Here in this code, we got start, or the first step, and then the last step. So, or I guess the start value is where it's drawn to on the screen, and then it animates to whatever you have here. So if I would remove this here, I guess the characters would be stuck up there. Yeah. Okay. So that's how that works. And on the other hand, if I add another step here and say minus plus 2.75 rem, so the opposite essentially. And let's also use this. I don't know which easing functions we have, but I'll use this one here for now. Okay, yeah, we get a nice auto-completion. I still don't know what all these things do. Let's try out quad. Duration 600 and delay 500 maybe to see what it does. So now they would go up and then they would like fall down and go back. Okay, up, fall down, go back. Okay, got it. Can you use a custom ease? We'll see, we'll see. Good question. Sorry for the off-topic question, but do you have any plans for a large-scale system design course or something similar? I find your teaching style really easy to follow. Thank you so much, first of all. Really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. System design is definitely a topic that's on my idea shortlist. But I have to say there's a lot on that shortlist right now because I got some course updates I'd like to do. I got some other course ideas besides system design, which I would want to do first. So I can't promise anything, but yeah, it is definitely on the shortlist. And I would love to create a course on that. I will say that. Definitely. Okay, so we got that. We got colors. So we can try the color thing too. If I add color here, I can... So I guess there are different ways of specifying how things should be animated. I can either have an array of keyframes and then it will go through all these steps, or I can define an object and then define from and to. And I could then, for example, say from the color, let's say red, it's not really red. It probably needs a hex code. Whoops. So let's grab red here. Oops, I forgot to actually insert it. So let's grab this. Okay, this is still not red. How do colors work? Color formats in the following formats can be parsed and used as values for animatable color properties. So shouldn't color be animatable? I mean, I have a hex code here. And 2 shouldn't be required, I guess, because 2 is, of course, the default color. But I can try... Okay, it is required. And now we go from red to white. Okay. Yeah, nice. And also have the nice stagger effect here. Cool. Color function. Can we animate it? So that is when I'm using the web animation API, but we're not doing that here. And we can also go super complex here, specify a function. Okay, I'll explore that some other time, but that makes it. Okay, we can set to, from, delay, duration, ease. Defines the easing function for all animated properties or a specific property. Easing functions control the rate of change of a property value over time, determining the animation's speed at different points during the playback. All built-in easing functions can either be used by passing the name or the function accessible on the eases object. Okay, so I could also say, if I don't like to type that here, which is fine though, because we're also getting auto-completion here, but I could also import ease and then, for example, say ease. Okay, and then I don't get auto completion. That sounds like a bad eases. Okay, eases. Okay, auto x. So I could do that as an alternative, I guess. Yeah. Okay, got it. So what do we have here? We got linear, and I don't know those easing functions. I just know a few, I have to say. But we got the good old cubic Bezier. We got standard in and out easing. Then we got these, which I don't know what they're all doing. And I guess you can also define your own somehow. I don't see it here. You can also use create spring to create your own object that controls how should I say it, how realistic a movement feels, like how much mass an element has to it. So we can try that actually. If I use, instead of out quad, if I use create spring here, which should work if I understood this correctly, and we give this like a lot of mass and make this super heavy, and I guess that's a bit too much. That should already be a lot. And then 0 stiffness, and I don't know the range of these values, but I'll just try some extreme values. Then you see, or actually, why is it not moving down now? Is it because of all that mass that's pulling it up? Or is this actually no mass? Okay, now it just jumps down. So with 100, it won't come down. With 0, it jumps down. Let's try 50. Now it's really slowly coming down because it's super light, I guess. So 100 is not a lot of mass, but almost no mass, or no mass at all. So if I use 5 here, it should be quite heavy, and I would expect it to drop down. Okay, I'm using way too extreme values here, I guess. Is it between... Here it's 1, so I guess it's mostly between 0 and 1. So let's try 0.5 in between. Okay, and now if I use 0.1, it should be heavier, I guess. Yeah, it's coming down faster. If I use 0.01, yeah, then it's really dropping down like this. Got it. So that is an alternative to easings. I still wonder if you can define your own easing function besides creating such a spring. You can configure some of these functions, but creating them from scratch is not something I'm seeing here. Composition defines how animations behave when another animation on the same target with the same property is playing simultaneously. So I guess that is if you're like moving excuse me, if you're moving like a box and that contains a bunch of elements that are also moving, how these things interact. And actually, that is something we can try here because, of course, we have elements that are moving, and we could try moving the overall div and see how these animations then interact. So let's see. Here, in this example, we got a bunch of squares that are animated. Okay, there's a lot going on here. Enter, leave animations. Okay, so we're basically saying if I hover over it, then this... Okay, so here we got a standard animation that's always playing, like this little pulse here. But then it's saying if I hover over it, then I, in addition, play this animation on the same element, essentially. Got it. Composition, non-composition, replace. So non is this. Composition, replace is that nothing else is going on. So it's pulsating. Okay, so it has this pulse animation here in the middle, but if I hover over it, then this pulse gets replaced with the hover animation and is also gone thereafter. And blend is if the two get combined. So now it's still pulsating, but it's also bigger. Okay, so it's really about animations on the same element, I guess. So what I meant, and I think that's something else then, is if I take this div and I give it an idea of word, and in main.js, I then add another animate call where I target word, and I try to animate that along the x-axis, and I say from, let's say from minus 10 rem to 0, then of course these elements play, but the box is also moving as a whole. And I guess I can also slow this down by setting the duration to 5 seconds. So now it's slowly moving to the right, but these individual characters are not affected by this. And composition is something else, got it. Can you give input to this object? Start color from start color. You probably can do that, but is there a way to configure it in runtime in the middle of an animation? I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah, I have not used this library before, so I don't know it with certainty, but I'm pretty sure that you can configure them at the time where you want to call them. Like for example here, where we have the event listener and we trigger event enter replace or enter replace here. We could, I mean, we're calling animate here and it's being executed at the point of time where the hover occurs. So we could definitely pass in some value here that's different every time we hover, for example. So we can have a highly dynamic configuration here. And yeah, so that should work, if I understood your question correctly. Hi Max, you probably get such requests all the time, so apologies. But have you considered making an Astro course? I have, yeah. And thank you so much for the nice compliment. Yeah, I have. I'm using Astro a lot. Also on my website, for example, it's built with Astro because Astro is perfect for sites like this. So yeah, I have considered this. It's really just like the time problem. There's so much going on right now, and obviously I don't want to rush courses, but yeah, definitely also another super interesting topic. And I do plan on covering more Astro, at least here in the stream or maybe on the other YouTube channel, and I would love to also create a course on that. Absolutely. Okay, modifiers. A function that modifies or alters the behavior of the animated numerical value. I also wonder, by the way, if there are like 3D animations. I guess there are, because we can rotate around all axes. So actually what we could try here, I'm not sure if it will work, but we could try some vibe coding here. We could ask Copilot in this case. Not ask, use the agent mode. And say, build a 3D globe, or add a 3D globe, the Earth essentially, to the index.html file. And actually that should be all for now. Let's keep it simple. I just want something which I can animate. I used the V word, yeah. Why not a comprehensive Laravel course? Honestly, because it's been some time since I last worked with Laravel. And some time means I really worked with it a lot. That was in 2016, so that's 9 years ago. So I'm simply, there are better people for creating a course on that. So whilst this is creating a nice globe, I'll continue exploring here, and then I'll try to see if we have a good globe which we can work with, and then I'll try to animate it. Synchronizes animations, timers, and functions together. Okay, so what does this do? We can add a timeline with a duration. But what exactly does this do? Is this like we can set a timeline and we define different things that should happen whilst we go through that timeline? Timers can be added to a timeline using the add method or the sync method. Creates and adds a timer directly to the timeline. Parameters position, a time position. A time position is, for example, either an absolute value or in relation to the last element and so on. So I guess this here, for example, means we create a timeline that has a duration of 750 milliseconds. And then we give it a label for whatever. But then we say the first event is that we animate the element with the class square and we move it on the x-axis by 15 rem. I'm not sure what this means. Start, if we go back to this, no, we move it by an additional 15 rem. But right at the start, maybe? I'm not sure what this means. But then, in relation to the previous time stamp, so to say, we animate another element, the triangle. I guess we can watch it up here, right? So they're all flying over there. And the circle is the first to move. So this essentially means, if I understand this correctly, right at the beginning of this timeline, this moves by 15 rem. Then after 500 milliseconds, the square moves. And that's actually the last, because the triangle moves after this one, I guess. And I'm not sure what this means, but we'll find out. Where is it? Add timers. Time position. So that means position the element at the end position of the previous element. Position the element 100 milliseconds before the last element ends. So we get a combination of these two, if I'm not mistaken, which means at the end of the previous element, but 100 milliseconds before the last element. So 100 milliseconds after the circle started moving, if I understand it correctly. I think that is what this here means. Or 500 milliseconds, half a second, which makes sense. I think that's roughly half a second when the triangle moves. Okay, so we got that. Is the label explained? Not here. But probably somewhere else. So essentially that is another way of timing different animations that are related. We can add timers, we can add regular animations where we have the target, the parameters, and the position along our timeline. We can sync multiple timelines. So that's really interesting. Like you can really think of having, I mean, you could build like super complex stuff with that, where you have like a main timeline. If you know you have like 10 elements you want to animate together, and you build one timeline and then one timeline per element, and you sync them all together. I think once you got the hang of this can make it really simple to build like complex multi-element animations. Interesting. Specifies the time. Yeah, we saw that already. I wonder what the label does. Labels gets and sets the map of time position, so we can basically like mark specific places on the timeline, I guess. Interesting. So what's our planet doing? It's not done yet. Okay. Let's see. I hope it works, by the way, because I'm not a 3JS expert, so I need AI to carry me here. Animatable. Efficiently animates target properties, making it an ideal replacement for animate and util set in situations where values change frequently, such as cursor events or animation loops. Okay, so that's an alternative in situations where I guess calling animate would not give us the proper performance. Or is it for some other reason? So we create an animatable, which again has targets and parameters, just like animate, I guess. And then we do what? We select our elements here. We have the animatable where we move it along the X and Y axis. And on mouse move, which is called whenever we move the mouse. So we have basically this rectangle following the mouse. On mouse move here, we get the dimensions of our bounds of the available space, so to say. We calculate the middle. And then we animate the X value to a specific value. Okay, so this X and Y value is essentially overwritten by calling these methods, I guess. So that's how it then follows the mouse with some delay. And I guess it has the delay because we have out 3. And I think out 3, where are these easing functions? I mean, you really have to get into that first, but what does this do? Does this control that it's over 3 seconds? But these are not 3 seconds. Why is there a delay? Oh, if you read, you have an advantage. Okay, so that's the difference. Here we don't define the to or from value when we use animatable, but instead we create an object where we basically define if that property gets animated, how should it be animated, so the easing function and the duration, and then we trigger the animation by calling these methods, which allows us to make this more interactive. So I guess an alternative probably would be to call animate, so that you call animate manually in your listener, for example, and you call that over and over again to have an animation. But that, of course, would mean that you manually have to derive where the value should animate to, so where the box should move to, for example, whereas here you just define how the animation should look like or behave, and then you just tell it when the mouse moves, hey, it should now move to this animation, to this position, and let the library figure out all the rest. So it's a different way of achieving this, but probably an easier way, if I understand this correctly. Interesting. Okay, so that's that. What does revert do? I like these small examples here, by the way, on the website. It's really nice for understanding what's going on. Okay, so it follows around, and if I call revert, it jumps back to the old place and stops that. Got it. Oh, you can really play around with a lot of stuff here. That's nice. I didn't even see that before, that all of this is animatable or animated. Oh. I wonder how many of you have been watching this and thought, why is he not using this? These are great docs. I mean, you click here, then you get the details and you see what's going on. Pretty neat. Really great docs. Really great. Draggable. Oops. Yeah, so that's also nice if you have like this little, that is really feels like a real object, where if you drag a little, it moves a little, but if you like really pick up speed, it goes off the screen if you want that. That's only along one axis. So I still want to read the docs though. So draggable is a separate function that can be called. By the way, what's our planet doing? It's done. We'll take a look in a second. So draggable is like a little function we can call to get a draggable object. And then how do we use it? It just makes it draggable. That's all we have to do. That's really convenient. So, yeah, okay, I don't want to try my code because it was changed because of the globe. But that's really a really easy way of making something draggable, I guess. And then you can control how it's animated. Great, but before we take a close look here, let's see what we wipe coded. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. It's a nice little planet. So I now want to be able to, well, maybe drag it. Let's see if we can make it draggable. So where is it? That's the globe container. Where is the 3JS code? Here. So I have no idea how these two libraries work together. What I'll try is use this ID and see what create draggable does. Create draggable, const draggable equals create draggable for this container. Hey, that was a really easy way of creating a draggable Earth. And what if I want to be able to, what if I want a button that rotates it? If I add a little div here with a button, rotate planet, and let me quickly grab these classes here again. Whoops. Was the wrong combination. So this. So, and let's center this. So I want to press this button, and then the planet here should spin, should rotate. So I should be able to do that, I guess, by selecting my button like this. It's the only button I have right now. And then I can add an event listener and call animate in there, I guess. Target my globe. And why is it called globe container? It should just be globe. Okay, yeah, because it's the container for the globe that's then created with JavaScript. But unless the ID is used down there, I can still use globe up there. So it's also looking for the ID globe container here though, so that should be globe. Okay, so anyways, then I can animate this. And how can I now rotate around the what is that? The Z axis? Well, let's give it a try. So I could say set. Not sure if I want that, but sure, let's give it a try. But I'll use a different easing function. I'll just use out or out expo. I don't care. Well, it's a bit hard to see, of course, if that is rotating because it's the same on all sides. So let's use AI again. Great, thank you. You gotta be friendly to the AI. Now make it a more realistic planet by adding some continents. And whilst this is working, I will again go through the docs here. So making it draggable was pretty easy, as we could see. I could have also played around with animatable to have like an effect where it follows my mouse, for example. Maybe we'll do that later. But for now, I'll just try to animate it once if I click a button. Scroll observer. Triggers, and yeah, I read about this on X, and that looked super amazing, that you can basically play animations as you scroll close to certain elements, and that seems to be super simple here, having like an on-scroll trigger. And not just that, but that you can also control entire animations through with scrolling. So I'm pretty sure we'll also see that you can basically scroll down and something moves. Yeah, like this. If I scroll down, it moves further to the right. If I scroll back, it goes to the left. So that's also pretty nice. And I think it's also possible like to capture the scroll and then for example, like have like one of these sites where a story unfolds essentially as you scroll. That should be. I'm not sure if it's simple to build with this library, but the library definitely should help with that. Would you use this library to create a draggable canvas board? Maybe. I'm just getting started with the library, but it looks really powerful and I think not too difficult. Obviously, you would still have to play around a bit with it to really get a hang for it or a feel for it, but it looks quite promising for adding animations to websites. And it's only 10 kilobytes, so that's not too bad either. So yeah, looks pretty good. Yeah, we already saw staggering before. So that's also not too difficult to implement. All you gotta do is use the stagger function that's coming together with it. Though there also was another function, right? Delay. You could also stagger by passing a function like this. So I wonder when you would use which. You can either use stagger, the stagger function, or delay also seems to take a function, and then you could, for example, pick up a loop parameter, a loop variable, I mean, and use that to calculate the delay, which also gives you a stagger functionality. But I guess you would use stagger like this. I mean, yeah, let's see. I guess the idea is that you could select multiple elements, like with a class selector, and if that matches multiple elements, if you then use the stagger function, you have only one animate call, but that targets multiple elements, and the stagger function behind the scenes then makes sure that the animation for the elements is orchestrated and is controlled basically to have a staggering effect. Because with the loop here, of course, it was different. Here I'm actually calling, well, no, this is not inside of a loop. These are parameters I'm getting from the Anime.js library. So I want to see if I use stagger here with 50 milliseconds, if I got the same effect. Yeah, I do. So that is simply an alternative, and a slightly easier alternative than calling a function. Let's see if we also get the function approach here. Doesn't look like it here. So you can just use the stagger function to control or to place staggering animations where multiple elements should work together. How's our planet coming along? Looks like it's done. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't see continents. Oh, it's trying to load an Earth texture. You will need to add an image file named Earth texture. Yeah, I don't have such a file. And I guess it didn't add one. No. So please just come up with some random fictional continents. No image, instead render them like this. Sorry I came late and still kind of junior. In a real project, would you use a front-end framework or vanilla.js? In a real project, I would very likely use a framework because coding a complex front-end with vanilla.js is pretty challenging. And it's definitely not impossible. It depends on the project, of course, but it's really unnecessary, I would say. And it can be problematic because you might, along the way, reinvent a lot of things libraries and frameworks also do for you, but they do it better because people there have been working on those problems for years, whereas you didn't. So vanilla.js, like we're doing it here or using it here, is nice for playing around, or here I don't want to use React because it's really just about playing around with animations. But yeah. Okay. So, interesting. We now got some fictional continents. Interestingly enough, it's always animating and not just when I click. I wonder if the AI added some code here for the animation. Yeah, here. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want you. Okay, now my globe is gone. Why is it gone? Because I removed the renderer here. Okay, so now the globe is here. But I can't... I don't seem to rotate that when I click this button. I'm also not getting an error though, so let's see. Maybe the Z axis is also wrong too. I mean, what do I want to animate to here? If I rotate, then we're actually talking about... So here it's saying one turn. So let's say one turn here too. I'm not sure which values I can specify. Oh, I don't want to move it. I want to rotate, of course. So let's say rotate. That was a mistake. Okay, yeah, it's rotating. And now if I want to rotate it, is there like rotate set? Okay, so rotate X or Y. Okay, so that, it's not really 3D if I do it like this. So I guess that would also be the wrong way of animating this, right? If I really want to have like a rotating animation, I should probably use Three.js for this because it, of course, needs to re-render it. Because obviously it renders what's visible and not what's invisible. So if I rotate it like this, I'm just rotating what's currently visible on the screen, but I don't have the full planet, so to say, to see. There's nothing on the backside. I would need to animate this with Three.js if I'm not like, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it should work like this. Nonetheless, we can see that this works. It's a different kind of rotation, but it works. And of course, I could also do something like scale. Is that called scale? Do they have a scale? Yeah, scale. So if I scale this to 2, yeah, then it gets bigger. And actually, if I set this to revert true, it should also go back again, I guess. No. Well, I could set up keyframes or something like this. And of course, I don't want to start at 0. I want to start at 1. And then it just gets a bit bigger. And of course, the caption is now wrong. I'm not rotating here. I'm just scaling. Okay, so how could I now make sure that this actually goes back once it's done? How would that work? Parameters. to from modifier keyframes. How could I make sure that this goes back to alternate? Defines if the direction of the animation alternates on each iteration, defines the initial direction, autoplay, frame rate. So I guess what I could do is set loop to 2 and alternate. Like loop. Can I not set a loop here? Loop 2, alternate, true. Does this do the trick? Gets bigger. But it doesn't get it gets smaller. And bigger again. So I want to loop once, because the first doesn't count as an iteration. Or it's the end index and it starts at 0 and then it goes back. Okay. And I guess there are other things you could do here too. Yeah, I removed the Three.js animate thing on purpose because I wanted to just use this for animation. We could absolutely use the code Three.js had if you wanted to really like spin it, but I just wanted to have something else but a button, and that's why I added this here. I don't really care about it being animated in 3D space. I just wanted to have something that's a bit fancier than just text for playing around with this animation library here. But yeah, nice to have that. So actually, since I don't want to have rotate here, if it doesn't rotate, let's say scale. Okay, cool. So we got that. What else does this library offer us? We saw time. I mean, it's really nice, by the way. I gotta say that all it takes to have this little draggable effect here, all it takes for this is really just this code. Actually, that would do. Actually, that would do. We could configure it, but that is all it needs. It takes to make this draggable with this nice little effect here. That's really cool, gotta say. Now I'm not sure. Maybe we can build like a prison, like a box, and if it, okay, that might be a bit too hard since I don't know anything about this library. But then if it reaches the bounding, the borders of the box, basically the bounding rectangle, that it is pushed back. Let's see if we can build something like this. For this, I'll add another div here. And I'll name this one here globe container, because it is now actually the container for my globe. And I'll give this, let's say a width of, I don't know, 20 rem, a height of 20 rem. Actually, let's make it a bit wider. 30. Let's add a border 2, and let's use white here. Okay, and then MX Auto to have this centered. And now the globe should be centered in there. Now I don't know. Margin top. If I can actually, can I use, can I work with that 3D.js object just like this and say justify center item center? Okay, now it's centered. And now what I would like to happen here is that if I move that and it touches a border, that it's pushed back. That is my idea. So I wonder if there is an example that does something like this. So like here, for example, if I touch a border, it jumps somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe there also is another example. Draggable. Snap. So we can define a container, as it seems. Where are the details on that? Draggable settings. Container. Specifies the container of the draggable element, preventing it from being dragged outside. Okay, maybe it's far easier than I thought. Let's see. If I, globe container is my ID. So if I go here and I set this to globe container. Okay, so now it's almost behaving the way I want. It just has a little bit too much spacing around it. Is that some CSS class here? Or is that because of this? Why is there so much spacing? Is that something set up here in the 3D.js code? The problem is that I don't know a lot, actually barely anything about 3D.js, so I'm really not certain. I mean, these are the continents. Most of the code here, I think, is the continents. Why? I mean, generally it's working the way it should, right? So if I push this against the border, it's coming back. It can overlap a bit, as it seems, but it definitely can't stay outside. I'm just not sure why it's so hard to really get it to the border. And I imagine that it's because this element is bigger than what we see here. Is it because the canvas actually is that big? So if I remove these classes here, interesting. Why does this? Is 3D.js picking up the size I set with CSS and then assigning that when it creates that element? It looks like it does. So if I make this smaller here. Yeah, okay. So it was really just because of the size. Okay, so that was definitely easier than I thought to implement this behavior. Now, let's make it a bit bigger again. Now I wonder, what else can I do? Container padding. Specifies the container's padding in pixels. The default is 0, container padding. So I guess with that, I can control how early it bounces back. So if I set container padding here to, so that's the default, I guess, 0, 0, 0. If I use 30, 30, 30, 30, and I need to have numbers here. I'm not sure what these numbers refer to, though. Oh, padding in pixels. Okay, so if I use 30 pixels, yeah, okay, then it definitely stops earlier. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so that's that. And then what else do we have? Container friction. The friction when going out of bounds, where 0 means no friction. and 1 prevents the element from going. Okay, so if we set this to 1, it shouldn't be able to go out of the bounds at all. Currently, the default is 0.8, so that's why it's actually possible to get it out of the bounds if you try hard enough. But if I set container friction to 1, my understanding is that now, yeah, it's impossible. It's a hard wall. And it stops a bit early because of how 3JS calculates the box for this globe. So therefore here, in this case, unless you understood how exactly that works and how you could change it, it's maybe also because of the canvas size here. Like if I make that smaller, which effect does this have? Let's set this back to 1. Yeah, no, this is not the reason. Yeah, so you would need to understand what you need to tweak down there, I guess, which I don't, to be honest. Anyways, container friction is pretty clear how it works. And that's the default, so we don't need to set this. Can you recommend the top 5 books? Form on the end, network, software, or something else? So, top 5 books in the software world, I'm not sure. I don't have top 5 books there necessarily. I've read many great books, but it simply depends on what you want to learn. I read great books on Rust, on Linux, on C back in the days. And outside of programming, well, everyone's got a different taste there, right? I can recommend one great book, of course, and that's my React Key Concepts book, if you want to learn React. But yeah, I think like recommending top 5 books doesn't make too much sense here. Because it really depends on what your taste is and what you're trying to learn. Okay, so that was pretty easy to make it draggable and have it stay inside of the bounds. Scroll observer, we saw that. I mean, you could try like implementing that when you scroll down, it spins. Just as here on their homepage, if you scroll down, this thing here spins. But I'm not sure how this is implemented. Yeah, it could also be 3JS, I guess. Or is this a bunch of elements? How is this built? Yeah, that's all these elements. Section spacer. Yeah, I'm not sure. Would have to dig a bit deeper where this is coming from. But you could, of course, try building something where you scroll down and the globe is spinning as you're scrolling down. Though with this library, it would be a bit hard because, as I explained before, we can't rotate the globe with this library because 3JS only renders what's visible on the screen, but it doesn't update if we animate it with the Anime.js library, unless there is a way of triggering 3JS from in there, which probably is now that I think of it, because of course we have these callbacks on update if we set up such a scroll listener. And of course in here, we could definitely call a 3JS function that re-renders the globe and takes the current scroll progress into account. So actually, I want to try this. If I copy this, I'll see if I get this to work. Yeah, let's add it here. If I copy this and I select my globe, and I don't want to animate it around the x-axis, but instead, I don't know how does on-scroll work. I need to understand that first. Triggers and synchronizers, timers, animations, and so on. Yeah. Autoplay. Yeah, okay, so it's that the animation is controlled by on scroll makes sense, but scroll observer settings. So that's the container where we listen to the scroll. So I guess that would be my body element here, or the entire HTML document. Then enter and leave is probably my thresholds. Yeah, they are. Sync determines the behavior of the animation and how it is synchronized relative to the scroll progress. So here sync is set to .5. What does this do? Well, let's just do what is it? True here. For the moment, I'll just console log. To see if that's working, and then I'll try to make it a bit fancier. Where's my globe? Is that because of scroll? Okay, I'll have to figure out why the globe is gone. On scroll is it's on scroll, of course, needs to be imported. And that's the debug mode. That's convenient. Okay, so we can see something's happening as I scroll. So now I just need to find out how I can find out how much I scrolled and then translate that to Three.js. So callbacks on update, a function whose first argument returns the scroll observer instance. So I wonder, how are the updates? They're counted like this, okay, but yeah, I want to link, essentially. I want to make sure that as I scroll down, something moves. If I scroll back, it moves back. So I need to do this, actually, I guess. Okay, so I need this approach. This is my globe, and I want it to rotate. Why not? On scroll is the body of my document, and actually we can just use, what does this mean? Bottom, I'll just leave it like this because I have to look up how exactly I can configure this. Sync and debug, and then I link this. Yeah, it's a bit hard to see maybe, but it is indeed spinning. And now the blinds are coming down again. Great. Okay, so to make that a bit easier to see, how could we best implement this? We could, of course, make this box the scrolling container, give it like a lot of height. That's something it's been so long since I last implemented something like this. To have an infinite scroll inside of this box, we would need like a nested div in there, and then render this globe. So I guess we could try something like, I'm not sure if this is the most elegant way, to be honest, but have like a height of like 200 rem in there. So that's my scroller, and then use that here. and actually, actually add overflow, not overflow hidden, or overflow scroll, I mean. Yeah, but that's not what I want, and it's also not working the way it should. Maybe I should do relative. I'm not sure if that's the most elegant way, but add relative here, absolute here, and have like top 20, left 20. Why are you scrolling with it? You should stay in place. Absolute, relative, fixed. So that now this is fixed in its place, but it's not really animating. Scroller. Yeah, that should be something that scrolls, right? So why is this now not triggering? On update. Let's see. Yeah, so that's not really, it's triggered initially somehow, but then it's not. I wonder why. Guess I could also do it like this, but that's not really important. Is this because of the way I set this up? But it is overflow scroll, so that is scrollable. And clearly we can scroll. I mean, interestingly enough, the debug element that is being displayed here is working. I want to look up this enter and leave thing. Bottom top determines the points at which actions are triggered. But that, I think, should work. I mean, something should happen at some point. I don't have an error, no. So I'm not sure why this will not animate this globe. And also not log to the console as I scroll, because I would say that this should work in theory. I mean, if I set this back to body, what I had before, then this is working, right? You can see it spins a bit. So clearly, in general, this is working. It's just not happy with this element. And I guess that it must be related to how this is set up, that it's inside of a relative element, though that doesn't make a difference. It's also interesting that this does not break fixed. But anyways, overflow scroll should do the trick, or overflow auto, but it should just work, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the problem here is. Why it won't pick this up. Doesn't make too much sense to me, to be honest. I mean, in their docs, they have all these examples in these small boxes here. Where clearly you can scroll in that box and something happens, right? So I want to achieve the same thing. So I wonder if that is something I can inspect. But it's hard to tell without seeing the JavaScript code. And I guess the docs might be on GitHub, but it's also not too important. I wonder what they're saying in their docs, though. If defined on an animation, yeah, okay, null. If defined outside of an animation. So, does this even do something then? Yeah, it clearly did, right? It did before for the body. Okay, so if I don't add a container, then it, okay, so I see. So then it's the body. But why can't I set something else? Like, what does this property do? Gets the scroll container associated with the observer. Gets the target element being observed. So is it target? Okay, now it broke out of this. Is it because of that? No. I don't fully get how this is supposed to work. So container looks more like what I want. Gets the scroll container. Yeah. That is what I want. Gets the target element being observed. Yeah, I want to observe me just scrolling in that container. Well, oh, we're almost out of time, I see. Well, I'll explore that a little bit later. But yeah, definitely interesting to see how easy it generally is to implement dragging and like scrolling, even though that's not fully working the way I want, but it did when I listened to the body of the element. So that's really interesting, I have to say. Scope. Anime.js instances declared inside a scope can react to media queries, use custom root elements, share default parameters, and be reverted in batch. What does this mean? I can create a scope and then, for example, define a media query and say is small is basically true, I guess, if that condition is met. And then I can add some code to this scope here where I can basically conditionally animate so that I can say on a small screen I have a different animation than on a big screen. That's of course also useful. Stagger we already saw. SVG, a collection of utility functions to help with SVG morphing, line drawing, and motion path animations. So that should be useful for stuff like that, or for animating charts, I guess. And then we got utilities. Yeah, we got this $sign function. It's essentially an alternative to query selector all. And okay, I guess you could use it because if you use it in a scope, it uses the scope's root element automatically instead of the document. So you don't have to manually make sure you get the right root element. So it's useful in those situations. GetSet returns the current value of the target's property. Okay, remove, random, returns a random number, shuffle, mutates an array by randomizing the order. So it got some nice extra utilities in there, which can also help with animations, but theoretically also outside of animations. Though you would never use this library if you don't want to animate, of course. A linear interpolation between two values. Okay, yeah, so we got a bunch of stuff here. We can, as we saw earlier, also use it with the web animation API. Then this gets way slimmer. It's not a big library in the first place, or to begin with, to be honest, but you can actually shrink it down to 1/3 of the size if you have a bit less features, if you accept a bit less features, and then it uses like the features that are built into the browser already. And this is nice to have, I guess, so that you have the choice. You can either use the full library or like a smaller version of it if you're in an environment where you don't want to load 10 kilobytes of data. Drives and synchronize all animation, timer, and timeline instances. Okay, so you can configure the general animation engine that's powering all these things. Okay, pretty nice. Was some nice exploration, I have to say. The library still looks pretty promising. I think I'll use it in some future projects, and then play around with it a bit more. But yeah, I hope it was a bit interesting for you too. And yeah, maybe it will work by itself tomorrow. Yeah, but I hope you liked it too. We even did some wipe coding and it did not break. Instead, we got this nice globe here. And yeah, I gotta go, but I hope you enjoyed it. As always, of course, I'll upload it to my other YouTube channel, Maximilian Extended. It'll be there tomorrow, the VOD of this stream. So if you want to watch it again, if you came a bit later, or if you want to watch one of my past streams, they're all here. And with that, have a great day, evening, morning, whatever it is for you. I'll now head home and hopefully see you in the next stream, which should be actually not next Thursday, but oh, yeah, probably only in 2 weeks, I guess, or next Tuesday. I'll see and I'll post on X. So have a great time, everyone. Bye-bye.